Today, I'm speaking with Anthony Rodgers, a dedicated family man and accomplished entrepreneur who started his roofing company in his 20s and built it into a $5 million a year business named WarConsulting. Now sharing his journey to inspire blue-collar workers looking to build successful businesses on their own. You've been roofing for a while, but can you just tell me how you got into roofing itself? How did you get the idea?
Man, I was actually got out of high school at a young age and kind of got into it and figured, try this out, gave it a shot, and then was figured out, laboring sucks, and I did it for a few years, and then did siding, and that was terrible too, being in the heat and busting ass. Next thing you know, man, I really just kind of started asking around how you get into sales, how you do this, and a guy gave me an opportunity, and next thing you know, I was really good at what I was selling because I knew how to install the product. As a salesman, I was making like $300,000 a year, and I was
That was
like,
your
"Wow!"
first ever real job?
No, besides like laboring and stuff like that, but that was my first ever like sales job.
Okay.
And I didn't ever really think I could make money in sales. I kind of doubted myself. And then when I got into it, I was really, really good at it. And that was just canvassing, door knocking, pushing real hard, doing 40 plus claims a month. And then I was like, man, why am I making all this kind of money when I can do it myself? And here we are today. And I just knew a lot of the ins and outs of the business and how to sell, what the product was and how to put it on. So when I got ready to do the work and hire people, it wasn't like somebody that don't know what the hell they're doing. That's the biggest thing I've seen. Yeah. That's the biggest thing I've seen in this type of business is guys come in here and they're a good salesman, but they don't know how to install the product, and not that it's rocket science to install, but you need to know something.
Definitely. Do you think the best way to start and get into roofing itself is starting to work for a company that's been doing it for many years, start off small as a sales rep, see the entire inside of the business before starting it? Or do you think if you feel like you know everything, you've done construction in the past, you just run and spend the money on the company, build up the LLC, and then just grow from there?
I mean, you could jump into it head first like that. I've had a few guys leave me and they can do that, and they get out there and they may last a year, they may last 2 years, but they always come back home because they think they can do it. I mean, it's just because so many people get that first big couple checks, man, and they go out and they buy, a nice watch or a car instead of putting that shit back in the company where it needs to go. And that's the biggest thing I've seen. I think people need to experience working for a bad company to appreciate a good company. So when you work for a company that, maybe shits you on your paycheck or tells you we can't pay for this week, well, that's what pushed me to make my company the best, and try to do top tier. I think if you do it that route and you say, hey, I'm gonna go head first in, you really try hard, you could probably run a great company that way. Personally, in my opinion, I like having the experience. I mean, it definitely helped me out,
Definitely.
It's one of the things that where you not only know what you're doing, but you also, like I said, know the product. So when it came down to the end of the day, if somebody was like, oh, no, this is how you do it. No, this is how you do it. I already know that you're wrong,
Definitely. And you did mention starting at a bad company. What makes a roofing company bad, and what makes a roofing company good?
Sticking to your word. The biggest thing is having your word. I mean, that's the way I built my company, and never owing somebody, Ever having somebody that can say he didn't pay me, or that company, that company's shitty or shisty. That's the biggest thing. Like, I built my company around that, was making sure at the end of the day, all my bills were paid. Yeah. At the end of the day, all my workers were taken care of. And I try to treat everybody the way I want to be treated, And the biggest thing that I realized was, if you pay people good and you give them incentives and you treat them well, they're going to do anything for you, And most of the people that work for me have been with me since the day I started my company. Now, whether you're coming on afterwards, a lot of people don't leave just because of the fact that they know they're with a steady foundation company. It's like building a house. You don't start on a weak foundation. When you build that company, same thing. You make sure your foundation is good and solid, so that way when you get up here, it's not shaking. And that's the biggest thing that I built my company like. I came from a company where the owner would tell me, hey, man, I'd be like, hey, man, I need my paycheck. Well, how'd you get that big of a paycheck? Well, probably from the $200,000 I just sent you last week, and things like that. It just got to the point where, hey, man, the crews are calling, hey, how come we don't have a job? Or, well, you do have a job. Oh, well, the owner never sent it to me. How come I didn't get paid this week? I don't know. I'm not the owner, and that I came from that. And that kind of put me in an experience where I was like, I would never want somebody to say that, hey, War never paid me, or those guys really shit on me. And that's kind of where I've developed to.
I see. So what you're saying
That was
is,
a bad, in my opinion.
okay, no, that does sound like one. Okay, so the base foundation, the three tips that I took from that is a strong base foundation,
Yes.
putting yourself in other people's shoes so you know what they can expect, what you're gonna bring in, how it is for them, and then third is keeping your word. Those are the three most valuable, important things you would say, like would help you.
Yeah. Yeah, because another thing too is I see so many business owners try to be too much of friends with their employees, and I'm cool with that. A lot of my employees will have barbecues, we'll hang out, but from 7 to 7, it's work hours. Like, we may get an argument. That don't mean I don't care about you when we get off for the day. And that's the way I've done it. It's like, hey, in the beginning, and this is work, and this is what I expect out of you. And I just say, hey, I'll do everything. I'll give you a raise. I'll do this, but this is what I expect out of you. And I'm blunt with people, and I realize some companies and people I've worked for weren't like that. They would never give you the straightforward answer of what they want, and what they expect out of you. And then if you didn't do it, they'd get mad. Like, well, you never told me what you expected out of me.
They just give a base foundation, and then they expect you to read their mind. When you,
Exactly.
as a company owner, the most important thing is being 150% clear with no two exits. No. You want them to leave that door, you show them exactly how to get till the final step, till they pass that door, right?
Yep.
Fantastic. And okay, it's lovely seeing, because now you have a bigger company, you have a lot of crews, you have employees, you have all this, but what were like the early days like when you just started it, you passed on from that company, you were there at your first homeowner from your company. How was that experience like?
Oh man, honestly, I was so happy and so driven that I couldn't even, nothing could have stopped me. You know what I'm saying? I was so driven because I'd had people, even the other owner, I told him I was leaving to start my own. You're going to fail. Get used to not having $10,000-$20,000 paychecks a week, and those are words that he said to me, and I was like, man, I'm going to be just fine, and in the beginning, from the money I'd made and saved from the other company, I didn't go out and buy a house. I didn't buy a car. I was still renting. I was driving the same truck for 2 or 3 years. So all that money I'd made, I just saved and was getting ready to dump it into my company, and that's what I did. And the first, I want to say 10 jobs, we took maybe like, I want to say a $30,000-$40,000 job. We might only got like $5,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
At the time, we were only working just with insurance companies. So whatever the insurance company gave us, that's all we got. Yeah. And then at the end, you get paid once the job's done. So there was some times where I'd watch that new bank account go from 40, 50,000 to like 10 or 20. And you're like, whoa, what the hell are you going to do? But it was so driven that it never really scared me.
Yeah.
Like I used to tell my wife all the time, I'd tell her, like, you trust me? And she's like, yeah. I was like, then watch this. And it would always work its way out. It was never a point where I was like, twiddling my thumb, scared to death. How are we going to make it? Not one time in business have I been there,
Yeah. Do you feel like mindset is a very powerful thing for a business owner?
Oh, for sure. For sure. If you don't have a self-driven, self-motivated mindset, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be expecting that money to land in your lap. I see it happen with friends that great friends I'm still cool with. We're good buddies. They own a business. I own a business. And I see their business. What's happening with it is they're sitting there waiting on those checks to come in instead of going out and getting them. And that's a big problem that I see with a lot of business owners. When they hit a certain point, they get to that like 2.5 million, 3 million point, they can't break past it because they're kind of stuck there. Yeah. And that's the thing I see.
I see. So also comfort kills greatness. Would you agree with that? Comfort kills greatness?
For sure.
I see. Okay, because you, from speaking with you, you have a good mindset. You have a solid foundation. But you've always been someone that hustles, someone that chases, someone that wants to get to the next level. Let's say for the average Joe that just has a normal mindset, how can he change that mindset to becoming a 5 million plus company like yours?
Man, to be honest with you, that's kind of hard. that's kind of hard because I think that I wouldn't say you're born with that, but I feel like something triggers you to develop that. You have to go through something that makes you do that. So instead of like just, something not happening or something happening in your life or, or for example, you're broke. Like when you're broke, when you're really broke and you got two kids and you're figuring out how you're going to make this work and you're working a 9 to 5, barely getting by. And you're broke. Like you're not eating because you're trying to feed your kids. That's when you find a spot in yourself that there's more to life than this. There's better than what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some people in today's society cannot develop past that because they're waiting on someone to grab their hand and pull them out of the mud instead of them pulling themselves out.
That's where self-pity comes in. Like I completely agree with you because I'm someone that I never self-pitied myself because I'm like, you know what? If something happens, I'm the only one that's going to help myself out. And I see that you have the same mindset. I'm the only guy that's going to get myself to where I want to be. And if I don't take these steps, no one's going to help me. My best friend, he's my best friend. But he's not going to sacrifice his life for mine when I'm not even sacrifice my own life for what I want. Why would someone
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I think somebody has to go through trials and tribulations to find that. Unless you're born into some type of wealth, and your dad was a good business owner, you probably want to follow his footsteps. But the people that came from nothing, I feel like sometimes you have to find that within yourself to really get to that point, and some people do and some people don't. And that's really what drove me is that I just found a spot in my life where I was like, I remember praying one day, sitting somewhere, I was like, God, I know there's more to life than this. This is crazy. Like working my hands to the bone every day. And then now here we are, Now sometimes you forget how you get here. And then that's when it's a problem. That's when you got to check yourself. Like, hey, man, step back.
Let's breathe. We're not in the hustling stage no more. We have a manager. We have everything. It's just, I could take 2-3 days going next place.
Yeah.
I love it. And was there anything with you like throughout your business career that kind of snapped and you were like, when you had that period, like there has to be something more to life? What snapped for you? Like what is the idea that came that was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to work 15 times harder now. I'm going to go to more risks. I'm going to take more risks. I'm going to just do what all the other competition is not doing to be the guy that cannot fail because I'm just not going to take no for an answer. I'm just going to keep going. Homeowner after homeowner or crew after crew or sales rep after sales rep. What was that snap for you personally and in business to help you grow and scale the company?
Dividing myself from others. I separated myself from people and just spent time with my family, my kids, and just dedicated, instead of having friends around or people that I knew, it was just full on nose to the ground grind. And there was I can honestly say there's probably like a year of my life where I didn't really talk to many people. Just was right before I was getting married, and all I thought about was work. And the only people that I associated with and talked to were either above me or working with me. Yeah. And that, and they say surround yourself with like-minded people, and that's what I did. I had a guy I looked up to, and I seen how he had the big house, the nice car, and everything, and I'm like, dude, I want that. Like, I can have that. And as a kid, you don't think you can have those things, and as you start getting older, you realize you can. And so that was what kind of changed my mindset of how to get my business and go where I want to do, because I wanted to impress somebody that was impressing me. I wanted them to be like, holy shit, look at this dude, and that's what I did. And that was a drive for me. When that person realized that's the thing that kind of pushed me to another level. And then with business, when I hit my first million, I was like, I can do more. And then I pushed harder, and then I could do more, and I push harder. And then sometimes you get comfortable, complacent. And I realized at one point that I was getting that way. I was like, and then I was like, no, this isn't who I am. I'm still young. I got a lot of life ahead of me. And so I just changed my mindset again to, instead of being like, hey, I got the nice house, I got the nice car. I was like, well, I can have more now. I can do more. And so
not being complacent, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I still spend time with my wife and kids. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a family man, but when it's during work hours from 7 to 7, that's all it is work. Some days I leave the house even as a business owner and don't come home till 8 o'clock at night. and you're talking, we're making millions. Our company's $1 million company, and it's still growing every day.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm not just sitting back expecting somebody to help me get it. I got my salesmen I'm training. I got, guys like you that this team comes and helps me out and drives us leads. That's a big thing. Those are big things that's kind of helped me out as, you come in here and you find different ways to keep your business growing instead of just sitting there trying to figure out or not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm training multiple salesmen. We're always hiring in some type of way, whether you're good at it or not, we'll bring you on, teach you. And if you don't stick around, then, hey, this isn't for you. But a lot of stuff that we drive is a very hard sales team. That's one of the biggest things we like to push on.
I see. And do you think the sales team itself is what helped you go from 1 million to now 5+ million?
Yes, easily. But that was, but at the same time, that's with, being the backbone with these guys. As soon as people kind of, again, they get comfortable, complacent too. They're making 100,000, 200,000.
They're like, why need to go more? That's one thing. That's one thing I see so much with just people itself that make money. But let's go into roofing here. With the roofers itself, they make $1 million a year in revenue. They're happy with it. They have their crew. Most of them don't even have a sales rep, which is impressive. They just do it the old school way because they don't want to go through the effort of training someone. Then you train him. That guy didn't work out. You have to train 3 other people to find that one guy. Why do you feel, as someone who puts in the work every single day, like you said, when it's work hours, it's work hours. That's all you do. Family, amazing. Friends, amazing. But when it's work, it's work. Why do you think some roofers don't have that or don't want to get that? Why do you think they're lazy? You being in the space yourself. Okay.
They're complacent. You get to a point where you've hustled hard, you've made a lot of money, and you got money in the bank, you've got a property or 2, 3, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing well. And you're probably the highest guy on the totem pole around you, and I think when they hit a level of that, then things change. And that's when you got to start making new friends, man. Keep the people you got, but you got to get people that's up here too. You can't just be the guy on top, and that's that's the biggest thing that I've tried is to make sure that the people I'm around, either they're on the same level as me or higher, and I don't want to, if you're not in the same motivation and same realm as me, I really don't care to be around you. And no disrespect, but like, I don't want to be
We're just in different paths. There's no disrespect.
We're not. No. Like I've got friends that I've kind of let to the wayside because their path is going this way and mine's going this way, and not that I'm better than them by no means. It's just, I don't want to sit there and get drunk all weekend. I don't want to sit there and drink every Friday, start Thursday night or go out to the bars. And, that's just not what I want to do. And that's what a lot of people do, man. That alcohol, that's another problem, I think, in businesses. Business owners, they have no one to hold them accountable but themselves. And then they start drinking on a Monday, and then that turns into maybe we'll have another one on Wednesday, and if we're in Wednesday, it turns into a Thursday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it's just a revolving door. And before you know it, they're drinking every night, waking up late to go to work, and things are always going wrong. It's just I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. I think what you just said there aligns with every single business owner's issue, which is self-accountability. Because it's one thing I had in my experience as well, is at some point when I was making decent, I was comfortable. I was like, I could go out this. It's fine if I don't do 10 hours today. I could just do 8 hours, or the night after.
Yeah.
Usually I'm a very little drinker. I barely drink. I barely do anything because right now I'm in a stage of life where I'm fully focused on my craft and my empire. But at the start as well, like there was a point when I was doing comfortable money, I was like, I'm fine. And then my self-accountability started losing. Like I started losing my accountability because once you do it once, you've opened the door. One thing my father always told me is you'll never catch someone doing it once. If they, I'm just drinking today because he's probably doing that all the time. You know what I mean? Your crew, if you catch them trying to sneak, you didn't catch them once. It's just you caught them that time. All the other times you got away with it. That's one thing that I feel like my dad told me that stuck with me in business, and that aligns to what you just said, self-accountability, because that's the biggest, in my opinion, the most important thing a business owner can have is self-accountable. You know what? I want to make it happen. How much do I want it? Am I willing to throw away, like you did yourself, 1 year of social life, 1 year of going out with friends, 1 year of XYZ to work on my company, so in the future I can have all I wanted and even more, and you feel like you deserve it. Because now you're at a point
Yeah,
where you have a beautiful family, you have a kid on the way, you have an amazing house, you have a multi-million-dollar business. What's the next step for you?
man. I don't know. I'm the type of person that can't just sit still, and I'm actually just trying to drive it more. As of now, I'm trying to open. We used to have two main branches in two different states. I'm trying to push that to happen again. The problem is it's a lot of back and forth. North Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina. It's just a lot of back and forth, consistently back and forth, and it gets old, man. It gets real old, but I'm just now trying to find the right people to put in the right place to run down there. With all the stuff I've made and done with being a business owner in this type of business, I've had time to get my pilot's license and things of that nature to make my life easier for a bigger business. To go water bigger horizon. That's my goal. My goal is to have that, and when I'm 45, 50 years old, I think I want to work till then. Yeah,
Hop
fly back
on,
home.
get on the flight here, there,
Yeah,
come back home for dinner, and then
yeah.
have the crew, the managers, the assistants manage everything while you're living life.
Yeah, by the time I'm 45, 50 years old, my business will be 25 years. I started this when I was 24 years old, man. And at that point, I think I'll be ready to give this business to somebody. Like, hey, man, just I'm done. Like,
Okay.
I'm out. Like, I'm gonna go chill with the wife. Like, we're out. We're going to Florida. We're
You've
going.
done it. You've done it already.
Yeah,
Like at some point, you also have to know always when it's done. For example, in sales, they tell you once you've done the sale, don't keep selling. Shut up. Because a lot of people
yeah,
like they get the sale, but then they keep going, they keep going, they keep going, and then they lose it. And I feel like
yep,
it's the same with life. Like if you only, for example, us here, we're both full-on workers. We love what we do. We wake up and we want to do more. But there's also you come home after your work time. You spend time with the family. You're a family man. You have your hobbies. You have your activities. You go fishing. You go this. You have to have a balanced, in my opinion, you have to have a balanced life once you get to that point where you've accomplished everything you told yourself you have to
yeah,
accomplish. Before that, in my opinion, is everything else completely out. I did
yeah,
the same as you when I was there, when I was starting out. I did for almost 3 years because it took me longer than expected.
yeah,
Just full on in my room, on my computer, on my laptop, every day, every day, and every day. And I had everyone telling me, oh, go find a job here, go get a job there, don't do this, don't do what you're doing is not going to work. They were right for 3 years. For 3 years, every day, even my own family, they were right. Oh, you're not going to do it. Oh, you think you're going to become this, you're going to make millions with it. Every day for 3 years, they were right. But you only need that one time for it to hit. That one time when it finally hits, that's it. Like I get goosebumps to this day because I feel the experience, and it was someone like you that's gone through it as well. At 24, a young age, start the company, keeping it going, and actually scaling to a significant amount. Because a lot of people start, they have ups and downs, and then when they get to the third down, they just give up. Or even
yeah.
the first one, they just give up. They're like, I can't figure out a steady business. But that's business, is up and down. You know what I mean? If business would just be like this, everyone would be a business owner, right?
Exactly.
You
I
know?
remember the first time I had a hiccup in business, I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Because I was so used to I had that steady climb. I mean, for years, and things are great. And then you have that first hiccup, and you're like, what? And you just got to buckle down. I mean, keep going, because don't give up. I mean, that's what everybody's waiting on. They're waiting to see you fail. They're waiting on you to give up. The people you stop talking to for a year, 2, 3 years, they're sitting there just watching you and hoping that it ends for you. They're not wishing good for you, And that's another thing. Like you say, when my business was running and amping and going up, um, that's when I took a lot of time, and it was just me and my wife and my oldest son. And I lived in a whole nother state than what I grew up in. We didn't have a bunch of friends. I spent a lot of time with my wife and son and worked.
Yeah.
And that's what grew. That's the other thing that just grew this company, was just so much focus into making it grow that it could never fail. The only way it could fail is if I was just being an idiot
Exactly, exactly.
because I put so much time and effort. Yeah.
That's where you have to work
So,
at. You have to keep going till it's impossible to fail. You have to
yeah,
put in the work till it's impossible. The only way it fails is if you don't put in the work, and that's the reason most
yeah,
people don't do it because what you say yourself, they wait for the jobs to come. They're like, oh, I have my Google page. Oh, I have my this page. Oh, I have my company out there. But if you want to grow, you have to go show up to these houses. You have to knock on these doors. You have to promote
yeah,
yourself everywhere. You have to put yourself in front of these homeowners' house because a homeowner, from my experience, doesn't want to go through any process of construction, even if it's a kitchen, a bathroom, that's something that it's going to look nice. No one wants people in their house after work, you know what I mean, having loud noises, banging, this, that, machinery. No one wants that. And let me know if you agree with this. I feel like a lot of roofers, they don't make the process for the homeowner smooth as possible. They try to make it as easy as possible for them because they don't want to do any extra steps. They just want to do it quick. If I get the job, fantastic. If I don't get the job, well, I gave the estimate. I gave them the number. I sent it over email.
yeah,
Instead of actually going back, telling them, hey, the reason you need this roof is not just because it's leaking, but it could cause more damage and then this, that. What I feel like if us in the space of roofing, we can make the experience for the homeowner as smooth as possible, even smoother than it is now.
yeah,
Let them know, hey, it's going to take 1-2 days max. Like, we're going to do it with no disturbance. If we're going to take care of, if you have a bad credit score, I'll figure something out to make it work for you, you know? Because a lot
yeah,
of people, if they're bad credit, I don't want to work with them. But if you tell them, hey, you know what, I'm going to try figuring out something for you, man. I see that you want this roof. Like, I'm going to go talk to my team. I'm going to talk to my lawyer. I'm going to talk to my insurance man. We're going to figure something out. This homeowner is going to trust you, and he's going to keep you as the guy if in case his friend roofs gets damaged, or if his friend needs any siding and you do siding, he's going to call you the first guy because he
yeah.
felt that you did something that no one else did. And if we can provide that to homeowners, I feel like in the space we can scale an insane amount because it's already $1 billion a year industry. The only reason it's $1 billion a year because it's a need, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everyone needs a roof, but if we can make the process even smoother, half the people that are waiting 10 years till like really the roof is damaged, broken to it can't
You
get
know,
no more. We get all these guys through the door as well, and that's a new market, complete new market, of just every homeowner.
that's what I try to do. That's what I tell every homeowner. Like, this should be painless, simple and easy. You should not. People are stressing or worried. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about any of this. And the big thing with that, kind of going back to what you're saying, like making them feel comfortable with you. Like, that's our goal, is to make a customer be like, man, I'm glad I went with those guys. When we leave the house, he looks at his wife and says, I like them. That's our goal. And then when everything goes the way we say it's going to go, that's when it's like, wow, okay, y'all are serious. And another thing that we do as a business is I run like a quality control team. I have a guy that oversees the beginning of the project.
Yeah.
And when my crews are done, he goes back and looks at it after it's done. And if there's something that was missed or something that he doesn't like, they're back out there within a day or two to finish the way we want it done. And that's a big process. Granted, I tell homeowners all the time, like, some people might not even tell you, hey, we fucked up here. We made a mistake here. Like, the guys missed this. And that's where I'm different. Whether it's going to make you mad or you're going to be like, oh, well, I mean, do you know what you're doing or what? If I see that somebody made a mistake or something was missed, we're going to come back and fix it because we don't want to come back in a year.
Yeah.
Like, when we're done, we get that final check. I like you, but I don't want to see you again. Like, no offense, but I've got too many other customers. If we see each other in the neighborhood or down the street, hey, what's up? But like,
If it's to come and fix
yeah,
something that we've done, it's better not seeing you for that case.
exactly. Yeah, we don't want to be those guys, and that's a big thing too that I think a lot of people miss is, like you said, they don't worry about the customer. They worry about getting that check and getting done. Oh, she gave me the first 5,000. We're done. Give me the next 10,000 so we can get out of here. And instead of making sure the job's like prime, perfect, the way that you would want your house done. And then it's kind of the way I drove this as well.
And I think that's a big reason to help your company scale and in general just be the type of company that you are, is because it's fine if you do a mistake. You know what I mean? People do mistakes. It's natural.
Yeah.
The homeowner doesn't care if you do a mistake. If you're gonna fix it, they're like, I don't care that you did a mistake. It's normal.
Yeah.
But what they care about is you lying to them, which is what you said. Be honest. Keep your word. Hey, it's not fucked up. I'll get my crew on this tomorrow, man. So sorry. Like we'll get it done in a couple hours. The homeowner is gonna respect you a lot more for being honest, being like, hey man, I fucked up, but I'm gonna fix it. And then you actually fix it good, and you tell them, hey man, I'm so sorry. Appreciate you understanding our end for doing this. They are going to keep you for the rest of the time. They need anything, they're going to call you because they know that you're going to be honest with them. People want honesty because you have all these ads nowadays, all these promotions to promise you weight loss in 10 days, six pack in 5, this and that. If you eat this, you become massive. And they lie. You know what I mean? Because that's marketing. Marketing nowadays, I feel like it's not like back in the days. Now it's just try to get people through the door, and then if it works. If it doesn't, then we'll try again with a different ad. I feel like that caused people to just not want to be like sold anymore in any type of way. So if we are honest, you know what I mean? We're honest with everything, which is what you're saying. We're honest. Boom. We did a mistake. We'll solve it. We'll be out by Monday. You're going to get these materials for this price. You're going to get these materials for this price. Not upsell afterwards and this.
Yeah.
You are going to be the main person they're going to refer you to all their friends. And I feel like that's a big issue. People only just wait on referrals because they did the roof. Look, that's your job. Your job is to fucking change the roof. Why should anyone give you a referral, this, that, for doing your job?
Yeah.
If you're nice to the homeowner, if the homeowner's like, I want to help, like what you said, I like this guy. I want to help this guy out, get more jobs. You know what I mean? He did an amazing job for me. He was nice. He made it enjoyable. He made the experience pleasant. My friend needs a job. Like my friend needs a roof. Instead of going with another guy that I know is gonna lie to him, let me call my guy, and then boom, there you have another job.
Yeah, and presence of a contract when you're in there meeting with a customer, that's the biggest thing too. That I see some guys coming here and I have to train them. Like I've been doing this for 10 years, 15 years. I'm like, oh, cool, that's great, man. And then you see them in a contract, and you're like, yo, what the fuck, man? Like you're not even personal with these people. Like, I will make a contract. I can do a contract. I'm not saying we're in there for 4 or 5 hours, but like a contract should last at least an hour. You shouldn't just jump in there and say, okay, well, let's sign this, let's get straight to the nitty gritty unless they're ready to get out and, they got things to do. I get in there and say, how's your kids? How old is your kids? You got kids? You got family? You got, oh man, I love your truck. I got one, like you got to get these people on a level where they genuinely know that you're there to help them. You're not there just to get their check and leave.
Exactly.
That's when people don't trust you.
Exactly. And people, I feel like a lot of roofers, they think if they ask these questions, they're too salesy because they think like, oh, I'm in sales. This guy probably knows that I don't care about his kids. But it's the opposite. You know what I mean? Like people just want to talk, man. If I talk to you about a hobby, your hobby that you do every day, you're going to want to explain it to me because it's something you do every day. You want to tell people about what you do every day. So if you can bring that onto the contracts, right? Just talk to them. Hey, man, what you said, I like your truck. You know what? Like, maybe we shouldn't do this material. Maybe we should do this because I think you're going to like it more since I see that your aesthetic is more X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? These type of things, the homeowner's going to be like, oh, this guy understands me. That's what people want in a day-to-day basis. I want a friend that understands me. I want a girlfriend that understands me. I want someone that's going to come do my roof, my kitchen, my house to understand my vision and what type of person I am, how I want this to be. Because a house, even though a roof is not a kitchen or a bathroom, something that you can be at every day, it's still their house. It's something a man is prideful to have.
His investment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're telling people to hand you 20, 30,000, even a $10,000 roof is treated that way. It's just, it's the way I've developed. I mean, I still got customers from 10 years ago that will send me a text and, hey man, hope you're doing well. Or, I'll get a phone call, random, you remember me? I'm like, no, not really. And they said, oh yeah, how you been, man? He's like, I've been good. I've seen the yard signs in the neighborhood, or I've seen two cities over, I've seen your sign. And I just want to say, hey, tell you, man, things are great. I'm like, oh, cool. You make that relationship. People still even call me like, hey, did you have that kid? How old's your kids now? I'm like, yeah, I got 2 more now. It's just different. It's just, that's just the way that we've grown. And now a lot of times I don't get to meet the customers like that no more because the sales teams are doing it. But that's the way I've trained them. And some of my top salesmen that listen to the way I train them, they're the way that I did it. They're the ones making, 200,000, 300,000 a year. They're the ones that are getting out there, and people are like, I just don't get how they're doing that because they just you got to get personal, man.
You have to connect with the person. People buy from people they like. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, there's thousands of roofers that can do the roof, right? So the guy doesn't care about maybe $100 price change. They just want a guy that they like. I like this guy. I'm going with this company, even if he charges maybe $1,000 more. But I know he's gonna be honest. He's gonna answer the phone whenever I call. If I have a question, he's gonna answer. He's not only here for the money, even though he costs more. He's here to actually deliver a good service, good quality roof. And if there's a mistake, I know he's gonna cover it and get his crew on it tomorrow. Not be like, we did it. The roof should be fine. I'll be there next week to check it out again. Homeowner's gonna be like, bro, like I just paid you X amount. You did your job wrong, first of all. Now you're telling me to wait, and you want me to get you a referral? That's what you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Love it, man. And then to kind of get an idea, we started working like recently together. Could you say so we can get some feedback on our end? How was working with Brand Konnect so far?
I mean, man, it's been great. Y'all have done everything you said you were going to do. That's the thing. When we first made contact, I told you, I was like, look, man, I'm going to take a trust in you. And so that I really don't even know much about you or your company, but something that was really good and made me feel like, this could be a good thing. I was like, this guy's probably, got to be legit. I mean, I was like, well, worst he's going to do is run off with a couple grand. I was like, let's see what happens. And then, I mean, things actually started happening and taking off. And I was kind of like, wow, that, not that I didn't believe in you, not that, because I wouldn't have done it if I didn't believe in you. It's just, you're skeptical, man. It's the same thing as me knocking on somebody's door.
It's human instinct.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing as me going knocking on a guy's door saying, hey, trust me to take 10 grand from you. And I was like, well, you know what? I do this every day. So let's just give this guy a chance. And honestly, man, it was great. It's a good decision. I would recommend anybody doing it. Y'all have done a ton of work, in my opinion, for the price that you're giving it to. I mean, really, like to build help with the Facebook, and then build all the ads, and set me up on the ads manager for Facebook. I mean, all these little stuff I'd never known how to do. Like, you took the time to sit there and go over my computer with me, and an hour, 2 hours here, and then every time I turn around, are doing something new, tweaking an ad here, asking me if this is working, that's working. It's better than dealing with somebody that is this huge corporation company and you're just a number, and they're, like, we'll get to you in a week. We'll get to you when we can. And that's a big thing with y'all, is that it's a constant flow of communication too. Not one time it's been like crickets, so it's real good. It's real good, man. I definitely recommend. I'm glad you called me. I'm glad you called me and we reached out and we made this happen, man.
Well, I'm glad to have you on, team, and I'm glad to hear that, because that puts the biggest smile on my face. And also going into, because you said these ads got you recognized in your town.
Yeah.
Like, how does that feel? And like, how was that experience?
Man, that's another thing too. Like, you're not only just paying for like to be put out there and land jobs. Like, there's people now that when I send my salesmen to areas or neighborhoods, and I say all the zip codes I've sent y'all or whatever, y'all run those zip codes, and just say that one person's on Facebook that day, and WarConsulting, that's a name you don't forget, And when that person comes to the door and says, hey, I'm with WarConsulting, wait a second, I just seen you an hour. I just seen this company an hour ago. Hold on. It's definitely portrayed us in a different manner. Like, before, they knew about us. They'd see the yard signs. Oh, they're building this. But now, people at gas stations stopping some of my sales teams because they see the logo on the side of a car. Now they're like, well, I just see y'all on Facebook. I see y'all on Instagram, and things like that. Or it's just happened quite often. It's kind of crazy that it's more. You're getting more than just leads. You're getting people to really recognize that this is a company. This is something, this is pretty big. And, y'all are the guys that did the roof on Miss Johnson's house. Yeah. And then, they're skeptical because you're talking to them, but then they see it on Facebook. Nowadays people believe everything they see on Facebook or Instagram. So it's like, oh, this has got to be legit.
The next thing I was going to ask you is, do you feel like in 2025 the social presence helps a business?
It does. And I used to actually be like, yeah, man, fuck that. I don't need that, you know? And now it's kind of been one of those things where it's definitely like a must need, I think. I think people definitely need it. If you're really trying to grow your company and you're trying to go to the next level, I think it's a need. You know, when I first started out, I didn't know you needed Google. I didn't think you needed it. You know, 2 years in, I'm like, you need Google. And now, like, now we're here, like, you know, you need Facebook ads. You need all the Instagram stuff because there's other competitors doing it too, and you're just losing out. I mean, you're really losing out on thousands and millions by not taking the chance and spending the money and doing it.
Most definitely. Well,
Yeah.
man, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man. You have family. You've got a multi-million-dollar business to run, and you still spend time for me, man. So I really appreciate that.